Hi, I'm Susie, and I am here to talk about this 3D illusion that we are all living, like the simulation. You might have called it the Matrix that we're all living in. And I was just talking about how this is like the veil that we, if you hold your hands up in front of your face, it's like the veil that we have placed in front of us to not remember who we really are, and that we are all universal source energy. And so I was talking before about having a play with imagining that this is your 3D reality that is an illusion, and it's the veil that we put up in front of us so that we didn't remember who we truly are. And who we truly are is universal source energy. And so I think in the last video I was talking about how if you can peek through the veil and you can see universal energy that you are. And I realized for our 3D brains it might still be a little bit hard to compute that. So I tried to have you zoom out from see it as the whole universe. But I think another way is, it's nearly a bit like, imagine it was a video game and all of the things you can see are like the pixels on the screen. So everything, you know, when you zoom in on like a photo or something and it gets really pixelated and all you can see is like little dots. I want you to now imagine that all those little dots, if you zoomed right in, are actually just particles of energy. And all of these particles of energy, like, I mean, right down, like not like molecules and elements and stuff, like down to the essence of the universal energy. And imagine now that you look in front of you and whatever you can see in with your 3D eyes, and your brain can only compute in 3D because it was designed that way, but your heart can't speak. Your heart knows universal energy. That's where we feel things. But I want you to now to just look out around you and imagine everything was a bit like a video game and it's all like pixelated, like it's all just millions of different pixels all put together. But then I want you to imagine that it's actually like every little pixel is actually like buzzing little tiny particles of energy. So a little bit like, was it Monet that did the paintings who did all the dots? Whoever did the dots, those paintings, it's all just millions of dots that make up this picture that our eyes see as a picture. And especially if you stand back a little bit, if you go up close to those paintings, you can see all the dots. So now I just want you to have a play with looking around you and imagining that everything is just all those dots of energy, and they're being like, so everything is just like breaking it down. So the tree in front of me right now is just like a heap of energetic particles that are all holding the form of that tree. So it's a little bit like, you know, in Avatar, which was a movie, amazing movie, to understand how everything is connected. And so nature gives us a bit of an easier idea because of the root system, and they go down into the soil and they're all sharing nutrients, and energy is a bit like that. Like all the energy is connected. Like I find it difficult for my 3D brain to understand like how a car is actually just made up of I don't know, I'm going to make up a number, a gazillion bits of this, particles of this energy, and it takes this form. And I think if you can start to play around with thinking of everything in our 3D eyes are computing as solid objects, as actually like gazillions of tiny particles of energy all buzzing together to take the form of the object. And just to have a play with where you look and just realize and try and see things like pixelated. Imagine that like you have a really zoomed in lens and can see like the flowers are actually just pixelated energy, and the traffic lights are pixelated energy, and the car is pixelated energy. And try to start understanding our 3D world as just a gazillion particles of energy that are being displayed to our human eyes as solid objects. Like, yeah, so I think start with nature. Nature is a bit easier to understand how it's all like, especially like the trees and the roots and the flowers and And like in Avatar, where it's the I'm going to get the name wrong, but it's the special tree, the Eywa tree, maybe. I could get that name wrong, and the Eywa tree is providing the source energy for all the living things, and they're really respectful how they go about their lives, and they it's like this tree energy is their mecca, like that is their religion, is keeping this tree healthy and keeping the energy, because everyone relies on it. And I sort of see that tree energy is like our universal energy, and we are all connected into it. And so remembering that we all are connected into that universal energy, like I think that is a way to start seeing past the veil, past this 3D solid illusion, into how all the universal energy works together to create this world that we are living in. So, and I think once you start seeing things as energy, that's more of connecting past the veil and realizing that that same energy of everything is within your heart. So you have this energy, you are this energy, and like you are the tree, you are the car, you are your arch nemesis, you are your hero, you are the stars, you are the moon, you are the sun, you are the oceans, you are like we are all of it. And so seeing it through this pixelated energy, and a bit like a painting, and zooming in or zooming out to kind of get a better understanding, because I know our 3D brains really struggle with this concept. And I suppose it's quantum physics, really, isn't it? It's and probably most of us don't have degrees in quantum physics, but that is probably the best 3D description of what is actually going on. We just need like a serious university degree to understand it all. But I think that like the great intellects of the world that have managed to describe it in a 3D way is quantum physics. Anyway, have a play with that and just see if you can get a glimmer of what I'm trying to describe about how everything is just energy, and it is all the same energy, and it all comes from the same source, a bit like the magic Eywa tree in Avatar. So if you haven't seen Avatar, go and watch it, and then try and see the energy from their eyes, because their eyes are different to our eyes. And anyway, have a play. Love you lots. Peek behind the veil, keep finding your glimmers through the veil, and keep reconnecting back into your heart. So schedule heart time. And heart time is just when you reconnect back in and do things that make you feel alive and joyful and blissful. And I also, I have very real 3D responsibilities, being a single mum with 3 kids in a new country. And what someone described was like, like I've got to do mundane tasks. But if you can connect in before you do the task, you can actually make it less mundane, because that's where I struggle. I disconnect when I'm doing the mundane, and then I have to like focus to reconnect into my heart and to my joy. So try and like, I think, is it James Clear, the habit stacking. So if I'm doing something like I've got to tidy the house, I've got to clean the house, put on the playlist that does bring you joy. And then you can even see it as like a devotion to you and your family, and actually try and connect back into your heart before you do the task. And I think it can feel better when you do it that way. Like I am doing a lot of driving at the moment, and I am choosing to view it as, this is my time that I have my kids in the car. And so I'm calling it my like soul connection time, because when they go home, they all sort of disappear off, etc. So when we're in the car, I'm connecting in with them as a human when we're driving, and it just is the mundane chatting, and we put the music on and laugh and sing and be silly. And so a mundane task that you have to do repeatedly can actually be fueled in to your heart and like use it as heart fuel if you just give yourself a little moment before you go into it and get yourself in the right heart space and out of the head space. So anyway, I love you lots. Bye.